Justin Heath Smith, better known in the adult entertainment world as AustinWolf, has been sentenced to 19 years in federal prison. Once a prominent gay adult performer, Smith's career came to a crashing end after pleading guilty to enticement of a minor for sex. Today, we're unpacking the court filings, the prosecution's arguments, the defense's plea for leniency, and the voices of survivors who demanded justice. U.S. District Judge Paul A. Engelmayer handed down the sentence on Monday, September 29, 2025, closing the book on a turbulent case that began with Smith's arrest in 2024. Alongside prison time, Smith faces 10 years of supervised release and a $40,000 fine. Prosecutors didn't hold back. In a 15-page sentencing memorandum dated September 22, they urged the judge to impose a sentence at the top end of the federal guidelines, 188 to 235 months, or roughly 15.5 to 19.5 years. U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton called Smith's crimes horrible, stressing that he targeted children as young as 7. In Clayton's words, "Every New Yorker wants him and those like him off our streets for as long as possible, and never again near our children." According to prosecutors, Smith wasn't just guilty of exploiting a single 15-year-old. They allege he conspired with others, solicited explicit content from teens, and even tried to arrange meetings with children as young as 9 and 12. One of the most chilling exchanges involved Smith allegedly asking a teenager for pictures of his 10-year-old sister. Prosecutors also highlighted a February 2024 conversation where Smith engaged in what they described as race play. Court filings reveal Smith, who is white, used racial slurs while soliciting sexually explicit material from a black 15-year-old boy. In their filing, prosecutors said these acts were not only disturbing but demonstrated a pattern of serial predation that posed a continued danger. Smith's attorneys, Michael Baldessari and Thomas Andrikovitz, urged the court to impose the statutory minimum, 120 months, or 10 years. They argued that federal sentencing guidelines were inflated and relied too heavily on unproven allegations. They also pointed to Smith's lack of prior convictions, his sobriety, and his advocacy for performers in the adult industry. They emphasized his alleged rehabilitation efforts inside the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, which they described as plagued with inhumane conditions. But perhaps the most powerful words came not from lawyers, but from survivors. Days before sentencing, prosecutors filed victim impact statements. One survivor, identified as Liam, described years of abuse starting when he was just 10 years old, days after his father died. He wrote, "This was the start of my nightmare, which I didn't fully understand at the time, or how it would affect my life forever." Another victim's mother reminded the court that each time an image of abuse is viewed, the trauma is relived, and the child's suffering is prolonged. Once a top name in gay adult entertainment, AustinWolf's arrest in June 2024 sent shockwaves through the industry. FBI agents found hundreds of child essay videos on an SD card in his Manhattan apartment. Over the following year, the case was drawn out through more than a dozen continuances as negotiations played out. Ultimately, Smith agreed to plead guilty to enticement of a minor while not contesting additional allegations. Studios quickly severed ties, and many performers voiced fear that the scandal would be weaponized against queer sex workers. As one creator put it, "We have to do everything in our power to separate ourselves from people like this." Smith's 19-year prison sentence marks the final chapter in a case that left behind anger, shock, and above all, survivors still coping with the damage. Prosecutors say the message is clear. Predators will face the harshest consequences. But the fallout also raises deeper questions about how scandals like this impact LGBTQ+ communities already under attack. What are your thoughts on this case? Do you believe justice was served with this sentence? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more LGBTQ true crime.